Hello and welcome to Cinematic Julianism. Yes, I know, I've been away for a while, focusing on my Polish channel, but I will try to get back on track, try to release another video in a week or two, and just try to refocus and regain my composure as I bring you more new materials. Today, I want to use this beautiful views behind me as a beautiful explanation or maybe example of a movie that is similarly soothing. A slasher movie that is soothing. I know it sounds counterintuitive. Maybe a slow slasher cinema. Maybe excruciatingly slow slasher cinema. Yes, I'm talking about a new horror phenomenon in a violent nature, where we take the POV of a serial maniacal killer who wakes up from his grave just to, that's a different story, just to walk around, and if he happens to meet someone, to gladly kill him. Is this really a reinvigorating shot that will make new slashers and will bring the slasher, make slashers great again? I don't think so, but I think I understand the appeal, and I think I understand why it has the popularity that it has, and it basically has a lot of fans in the community that doesn't like slasher movies. Haha! That's a twist, that's a plot twist that we'll be discussing in this video. So, how to make a slow slasher cinema? Let's get right into it. In a Violent Nature is the child of writer-director Chris Nash, who was working on the movie for the last few years. He was first recording in 2021, had to basically re-record like 70% of the movie because he switched actors and he had to do a lot of reshoots, which for some of you might be weird when you consider what are the visions, what are the cinematics that we are left with. But it's a moving story of Johnny, a slasher killer who is buried in the ground, and the only thing keeping him calm is a necklace that he got from his parents. So when a stupid guy takes his necklace while walking through the wilderness, he has to wake up, find the necklace, and kill basically everyone around him. Of course, we take the POV of Johnny and not the typical slasher movie trope. So watching the teenagers or whatever go into a camp, and then someone appears behind me and slashes my throat. So as you might have already guessed, the big twist, the big shock of the In a Violent Nature is switching the point of view. Is going from, okay, we're watching us normal people behave, or maybe watching us extremely irritating people misbehave, and having the fortune of being killed by a good slasher killer with a machete, with a knife, or whatever. So the camera rests easily on a shoulder of Johnny, or sometimes like lingers 2 meters behind Johnny, and we follow him. Johnny never speaks. Johnny basically never does anything with emotion. Johnny is a force of nature, in a violent nature. Johnny can be compared as a mix between Michael Myers from Halloween and Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th series, but you have to think which one, because that's the trouble with Jason. One Jason runs, one Jason is kind of a rapist, one Jason is a cybernetic organism, one is not even Jason because it's a wannabe who's trying to avenge the death of his son. So there's a lot of different Jason. I would say it's somewhere between the part 6 and part 7 Jason. So choosing this way to portray a killer without emotions and just simply walking after him and watching him slowly, steadily walking, like, it might seem like such a dull experience. So it might be so boring, but it really isn't for the most part. But this is one of the things that I think the non-slasher moviegoers would say, oh, that is interesting. So that's kind of an existential movie. And you would be right, because Chris Nash told in an interview that he was kind of inspired by Terrence Malick, and Gus Van Sant, to make a movie that would be kind of an existential slasher movie that would be much slower. He loves slow cinema, and he wanted to connect those two types of cinemas to see what would happen, basically. To what would happen when we take out all those emotions, all those, oh Jesus Christ, all those high, very loud moments, and just focus on the killer and his point of view, which would be like slow and steady wins the race, as the saying goes. So this is what we are forced to see: the back of a huge guy, and watching him like walk through a forest for, I would say, half of the movie, like 40 minutes of the movie. The POV switches, or basically turns into a normal slasher movie in the last 10 or 15 minutes. So up until that moment, we are just somewhere near Johnny, and we're watching Johnny. So the fact that it is this way makes it easier to have fun with the genre, because we will have, okay, he will be walking through a field. Oh, this reminds me of The Burning. Let's put it this way. This will be even a shot from The Burning. The Burning, of course, the slasher movie. This will be The Madman. Okay, this will be Halloween. Of course, Halloween. This will be a shot from Friday the 13th. Yes, there will be a lot of shots that are lifted from other slasher movies. But the perspective might be a little bit different. The colors might be a little bit different. But there's a lot of trying to merge all those slasher skills into one person, and then ask ourselves, is there anything at all that we're missing? Because Johnny doesn't smile. Okay, Johnny doesn't show emotions after a kill. So he kills a bystander, and it's not like he's like, ah, I made it, woo. No. He also doesn't react quickly. So Michael Myers and Jason, when someone calls him and he's like, no, you will not see this in this movie. Even if he's getting, chased or something like that, he will try to do it as slowly as possible. If you're the camera guy, or you're the victim, he would be slowly approaching you, and slowly reaching with his hand and killing you. There will not be there will be nothing like that. And the result of this perspective is the fact that, okay, it's kind of a nice, it looks kind of like a nature documentary that just is missing one thing: the narration of David Attenborough. So all we need in a violent nature is David Attenborough going, yes, as we can see, Johnny is a very focused predator. Johnny, it's only twice a year, and something like that. Can you see the beautiful, distinguished, I don't know, the leaves that cover his grave, or something like that. As you can clearly see, Johnny is a skilled hunter. I was not trying to sound like David Attenborough. That's too hard even for me. That's too hard even for me, the man of 1,000 accents in one sentence. But I talked a little bit about what could be appealing in the movie. I talked about, okay, there are some scenes from different slashers. And I talked about the existential element, the Terrence Malick comparison, the Gus Van Sant comparison, which I think is one of the reasons why art moviegoers like this movie. One of the reasons. But is it really that entertaining? Yes and no. Because once we see him walking through a forest for like 7 minutes straight, uninterrupted, there's no music, there is no effects, his stride is exactly the same, nothing changes. He sees something, he will not change his demeanor. He saw a person, okay, I will probably kill that person, but he will not change his demeanor. So your stream of consciousness that you get, the stream of movie, never changes the tempo. And after 10 or 20 minutes, you kind of, okay, Chris Nash, I saw what you did. I saw it is a beautiful idea. Let's kind of speed it up a little bit. I understand you can't speed it up. You have to kind of follow the events, like in Gus Van Sant movies, because that's the perfect way. Like when Gus Van Sant tried to follow the guys who did one of those school shootings. Yes, I understand the idea, but those guys with the school shootings, a little bit more happened there than here. Then we get like a beautiful POV of our killer who just hides in the forest and watches a group of young friends talk shit. Basically talk shit. And yes, I know we have seen it 1,000 times. So we basically kind of wanna get to the end. And in this movie, I feel there is like a perfect 30-minute episode or 30-minute mini movie, short story, which would be like heralded as one of the greatest slasher killer movies. But it's 94 minutes. And that's the problem for all, from all of us, for all of us horror movie goers, for all of us slasher movie lovers. I adore slasher movies. I adore the 80s in the slasher genre. And once I got all those references, I said, yes, but what is new? What is there more? What are you trying to say more? And this is the area where I find In a Violent Nature really lacking. There is nothing new to say about the slasher genre. A few years ago, we had, in my opinion, one of the finest examples of trying to play with the slasher genre while not exactly being a slasher movie, but still trying to play with it. It was the movie Us from Jordan Peele. So this one, In a Violent Nature, is not even close to Us, because there's nothing new. There's one new gimmick. Okay, let's put the camera on my back. Okay, cool, beautiful. But what is there more? And someone would say, okay, there is something when we switch the perspective and we go back to the normal slasher movie with the ending. And the ending is, of course, a play on a different classic, on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When we get what would happen after being rescued, how would the conversation go? And the conversation, I find it as the best part of the movie, because we're going from a stream of I'm killing you slowly but steadily, and I will win by killing you slowly, because I basically am more of a golem than a slasher killer. I'm more of a shape, as in Michael Myers, and there's nothing to it. I don't know why I'm changing my voice, but I'm Johnny and I'm changing my voice. And we already get it, and we could have gotten it in like 60 minutes, and then the last 20 could be that story. But that story is the only moment when you can say, oh, okay, because after being hunted for 80 minutes, the camera is always positioned in a way that we, as moviegoers, expect, okay, something will happen. So, someone will jump through that window. No, someone will jump through that window. Okay, someone will jump from the back. The camera is always positioned that way, that we know that something is here, right? So this makes us extremely nervous, especially knowing the structure of a slasher movie. So we know something is coming, someone is gonna kill us. And we hear the story that is narrated in a way that Tarantino would say, I'm proud, because it's a monologue that is delivered beautifully, and it's a monologue about the nature of a beast, of a big black bear who hunts, or maybe stop hunting, and about the violent natures of animals who when there's a time comes when those beings start killing without a reason. And that's, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about Johnny and about slasher movies. They are killing without a reason. So we sat here for 94 minutes to hear about it. Okay, he might have tried to find his necklace from his mommy, but really he's killing without any reason, just because he's like an animal. Ooh, I never heard that one before. Like the violent nature of slasher killers, blah blah blah. It's not really something new that come into the genre, but just the story and the person who is experiencing the story as the survivor who just survived walking through the woods just like in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and hearing this calm woman tell her about, you're gonna be okay, and tell her a story about the killer bear who was eating brain of her partner, but he kinda like, he pulled through. So this is, for me, it was a beautifully funny, extremely funny story, extremely funny ending to a movie that is like so low-paced, so slow-moving, but it's still focused on some gore scenes, pulling a head through your spine, cutting your head off, of course, using you to break some windows, normal stuff for us, a slasher movie goers. So we get so bored of it, and I think that director also knows it, and he says, okay, let's turn to something else, and let us show like through the survivor, or she would not be scream queen. Her screams were kind of meh. Through the survivor, we became the survivor, and we were like, what the hell is going on? Why is the woman still talking? Why is she standing here? Why is she stopping the car? So there is something to glorify, to applaud in a violent nature. Chris Nash had a beautiful hand in making this movie. He's a special effects guy, also worked on Psycho Gorman. So Psycho Gorman is a beautiful homage to 80s horror movies, and especially the bad ones. So cool for that. And you can tell that he knows how to stage a shot, how to move quietly. There's a great deal of good sound editing, so there's very little of music, I would say almost non-music whatsoever, but the sound of our Johnny is beautifully placed around us. The sound of the woods is beautifully haunting. There is the greatest ending for me, and that is a beautiful twist on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre ending, but as a slasher goer, you would probably say, oh, so cute, and that's all. You would be like, you would be like the kid from the Despicable Me. It's so cute, I wanna die. You will get this fluffy, it's so fluffy, I wanna die, and you will keep this fluffy with you. And I have this fluffy, by the way. I have this fluffy unicorn from Despicable Me. And I also had the same reaction. Oh, it's so fluffy, I'm gonna die. But you wouldn't say this is the toy that transformed me, or this is the one transformative toy from my collection. But it's also the fact that it has this gimmick of switching the POV and switching the ending. Those two elements that make it a perfect movie for art cinema moviegoers who would say, I saw so much. There is a commentary of the human nature. Sometimes, hear me out, we are violent for no reason. Such an artistic choice. Such a bold choice. Bullshit. Oh, well, bullshit. Yeah, I know that I'm kind of ragging on the artsy-fartsy movies, but that's who I am. Cinematic Julianism is not trying to go above, or try to pretend that you're better because I'm watching better movies, but trying to find what's beautiful in all movies. Especially that you can find those answers and those existential questions in clearly popular movies made for like $200,000 bucks in the 80s. By the way, okay, I'm finishing because I'm rambling now, and I wanna go swimming, but I'm not sure yet. So let me know if you've seen In a Violent Nature. Were you one of those artsy-fartsy moviegoers and said, yes, I see more? And if you see more than I said, please try to explain it to me. If I made a mistake, of course, I want to learn. So if you saw something that I didn't, I will go back and watch In a Violent Nature again and again and again. But it's all from me right now. I'm finishing and I'm going back to, as you can see, there's no violent nature here. There's only calm nature. So I'm finishing with a little bit of calmness, and I hope we'll see each other on the next stage of our journey through cinematic Julianism. Take care.